Hi everybody, I am Michael, and this is Catherine, and what we're here to do today is give you an idea of what you can expect when you come out to one of my yoga classes or any of the yoga classes here at Yoga Above. What I'm going to go through today with the help of Catherine, I will be teaching the movements and she will actually be demonstrating the movements. We are going to go through what's traditionally called Surya Namaskar letter A, or as I like to call it in my classes, warm up number 1. It's a series of movements and breathing that are put together to create that mind-body connection we all know as yoga. Now, one thing I just want to make clear to all of you with what we're about to do, that there's many different ways to start a yoga class, and there's many different variations for the movements that we're about to do. I'm really just going to share with you my interpretations of these movements from my practice and my classes, and you can take away what works for you, leave the rest behind, but just realize there's many options for what we're about to do. So I think we should get it rolling, unless you have something to add, Catherine?
Nope.
Okay, so we'll get it rolling. So how it starts off at the front of the yoga mat. And then once you make it out to the yoga mat, wherever you roll out your yoga mat, you want to realize this is your time to let go. So one of the best ways to let go is some calm, fluid breathing. So you just want to find the inhales and the exhales that are ideally flowing through your nose and only your nose. Because nose breathing is so very important for our yoga practice. It calms the mind. And then actually your mind starts to represent where your breathing is at. That's why we want that breathing so calm and serene. So once you're standing at your yoga mat, the big toes and the ankles, they are together and you're lifting yourself up tall. The breathing is calm. Let's start putting in some movements now. Very gently, the head starts to drop back in between the shoulder blades. Then as the head drops back, how about the shoulders roll back? Now you can actually start to lift your heart up to the sky. The initial goal of yoga, believe it or not, was upliftment. So now the breathing is deep, the heart is lifting high. On a huge inhalation, just reach your hands up to the sky. Once those hands make it up, see if you can take another inhalation and glance up to the ceiling. For the first one, the knees bend slightly. As you exhale, hinge at your hips and fold forward. Place your hands down on the floor. Now for the first one, when the knees are bent slightly, you're not putting as much pressure on the legs or the spine. So let's say for the first one with the hands on the floor, what we do is we glance forward. Now as you glance forward, you're lengthening your spine and you're straightening your legs. But then if you need to, you can always put the hands on the knees or the thighs. Then you're getting more spinal length, and that's a good thing. So now after that pose, the hands, they go to the floor. The feet step back into what we call the plank position or push-up position. For the first one, let's put the knees on the floor. So that way it's not so intense on the muscles. Same pose, just to a lesser degree. You're still building strength through your back muscles, your shoulders, and your arm muscles. On the exhale, the belly lowers down to the ground. Now, notice how the elbows are by her ribs in this pose. As she's pressing the hands into the floor, she's lifting her chest off the floor, but notice how the hips and the thighs are still on the floor, so now there's no pressure on the lower back. She's just creating a beautiful arch to open her spine. The shoulders pull back so she can actually open her heart, and then how about this? The head drops back. One beautiful inhale. Then on an exhale, the chin touches the yoga mat. Back up into the plank pose, and then back into the downward facing dog pose. Downward facing dog is a very common pose in all yoga classes. You'll find it every class you go to most likely. Very simply, the hands are the width of the shoulders. It's always good to look at them and check them out, just so you know where they're at. Feet are the width of the hips, so the limbs are in line with the joints that they emanate from. The neck is relaxed because there's no tension in the being. The hips pull up to the ceiling, so you're stretching your spine. The heels of the feet, they press toward the floor. Whether they make it there or not is irrelevant, because either way, you're stretching out the tendons through the backs of the legs, the hamstrings. Well, guess what? If that just doesn't feel right, or you can't hold the pose too long, I'll share with you one of the most advanced yoga poses in all of physical yoga. That's knees to the floor, butt to the heels, the toes let go. This is what's called the child's pose. And I say it's an advanced pose because you really need to know when enough is enough. Sometimes in a yoga class, especially a physical yoga class, some of the movements might be too much. Maybe some thoughts come into your mind which is a little too much. You come back here and you work on the foundation of all practices, your breathing and your focus. Once you have that focus back together, then you would join in with the movements. So try to put the breathing and the focus first. The poses would follow after you've got that foundation down. So I think we got it down. Let's see if we could put it all together now. A little breathing and a little moving. So, the arms reach out. The hands plant down. The toes tuck, the knees lift, the hips go up. Downward facing dog pose. Let's put it all together now. One big inhale, the hips pull up. On an exhale, walk or hop the feet softly to the front of the mat. With the feet at the front of the mat, we glance up, we take a big deep inhalation, long spine. On an exhale, fold your ribs into your thighs. On an inhale, let's come all the way up to stand and try to keep inhaling and look at that spinal length. Then on a huge exhale, fold forward, hands to the floor next to the feet. With the hands on the floor, just glance up with a long spine. The feet go back on the exhale. Our plank pose, continue the exhale and lower straight down to the ground. Laying on the ground, the hands press in, the chest lifts high, the shoulders roll back, the beautiful cobra. Exhale, chin touches into the plank pose, into the downward facing dog pose. Magnificent. Knees to the floor, Catherine, butt to the heels. Crawl your hands up. So that, my friends of yoga, is warm-up number 1. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, everyone. More classes, more videos, or current class schedule, if you like, at yogaabove.com. Namaste, everyone.